Demographics are destiny. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Why demographics are destiny? Well, I like to compare my work with one of my favorite economists, Lacy Hunt, and he says all the time, demographics are destiny. Why? Because many people, when they think about economics and so on, they think on natural resources, financials, the governments, the local governments, and social issues and economic issues, and so on and so on and so on. So they base their knowledge and their analysis on the stuff, quote unquote. And I don't have a better term for the sake of the conversation. And they think about, in order to be rich, you need money, or you need good legislation, or you need great infrastructure, or you need natural resources, and so on and so on. But the most important resource that any given nation has is their people. You need not only labor, you need people consuming. At the end of the day, with all of the resources, all the mathematics, and so on, the most important factor regarding economics and good economic growth is having good demographics. The economy is nothing more. Remember, this is a social science, and of course, it's about people. All the time, it is about people. So, for instance, you see in Japan that Japan has a great economy, also has a very, let's say, fairly friendly regarding taxes and process and bureaucracy and so on, and hence one of the wealthiest nations on the world regarding GDP, of course. However, the Japanese economy has been stagnated on the past 30 years or so. Remember, at some point on the 80s and the 90s, we thought that Japan can overthrow the United States as the biggest economy on the world, and that is not the case. At the moment, the United States has a GDP over 25 trillion US dollars, is by far the biggest economy on the world, despite the fact everything that they have done negatively, they have done badly on the past decades. I mean, we can say since the 70s with the gold standard, but still they multiply the GDP of Japan. Remember that Japan was poised to be the biggest economy on the world, just as we are saying right now with China. And what happened in Japan? Of course, a lot of bad macroeconomic decisions. But remember, at some point, Japan had a real estate market that it was worth basically more than every place on the world. The gardens and the land around the Royal Palace of Japan in Tokyo, it was worth more the whole real estate market on California, and a bunch of crazy metrics. For instance, the luxury district of Ginza in Tokyo, the price per square meter was worth something around 1.5 million US dollars per square meter. And at the moment is not the case. And of course, we can attribute this whole situation, the Japanese economy collapse on the early 90s, the Nikkei index just nosedive, and right now, just a few years ago, barely recovered everything lost on the early 90s. That's something insane. And of course, we can blame the quantitative easing by the Bank of Japan, and also we can blame some cultural issues that Japan has. Japan has a beautiful culture, a nice culture, when the society comes first, and I understand perfectly. However, that thing comes with some caveats, and one of them is that it's not friendly for the macroeconomic growth. Japan has one of the worst demographics on the whole world. The people got old pretty fast, pretty quickly. The demographic pyramid, one of the worst of the world. Also, you have a social security system that when you have a bunch of Japanese elder people and not many Japanese young people working in order to sustain the system itself. Also, the fertility rate is one of the worst of the world, and we can go by South Korea as well, because that is even worse. However, let's stick with Japan, and it's way below compared to the replacement rate that you need of 2.1 bears per women. But also, you have lack of entrepreneurship because people in Japan, especially the young people, they don't have a promising future. According to their perception, the sentiment over Japan amongst the younger population is quite bad and something that we have to mention. So you see less entrepreneurship. You see also the big multinationals that Japan has, like Sony, like Toyota, and so on. They dominate the market, but they don't have fresh new competition because you don't have fresh new entrepreneurship. Compared, for instance, the United States, that you have these big juggernauts, mega corporations. However, you see a lot of entrepreneurship on places like Silicon Valley, so you need fresh new blood regarding the big worldwide enterprises. But at the end, you have in Japan an economy that is sometimes it grows a little bit, sometimes it contracts a little bit. However, it's stagnated since the past 3 decades. And the worst part is that Japanese people don't like migrants. And the other way that you can combat a terrible demographics is with good migration. And what ends up happening that unlike the United States, that is a magnet for international migrants. And of course, that deserves a video of its own. Japan doesn't have the same ease in order to attract migrants. On the street level and the government level, Japan is one of the most restricted nations in order to attract and retain migrants because they have a very shut down culture and also a shut down legal system in order to incorporate legal migrants to the economy. They don't want migrants, but also people from the rest of the world, they don't want to work on Japan for long term. For instance, in an engineer in Germany that has a very good salary on Germany or maybe some other country of the EU or maybe United States, whatever may be the case, even China, and they have a flexible work schedule and a good salary. And if they are interviewed by a Japanese company, when they have to work double as hard and more hours, the double of hours of working hours, and also will have a similar compensation, by the end, it's no business for, of course, this particular engineer. And so most of the high-skilled labor, they don't want to go to Japan unless they are very well compensated. You have to mention that in Japan, the salaries are bad because, of course, if you destroy productivity with a lot of these situations that you have over there, the salaries are not going to be competitive unless on some particular companies like, for instance, again, Sony and Toyota. And what will end up happening is you are not able to attract top-tier talent. Of course, Japan has a lot of talent. However, that talent is starting to spread out and just start to shrink. The talent pool starts to shrink, and the necessities for talent start to increase. However, this video is not about Japan. It's about worldwide economics and demographics, and Japan is the perfect example of what not to do regarding demographics. I explained many times that demographics are, of course, destiny, and I'm beating that dead horse yet again. You need a good demographic pyramid because what will eventually create long-term sustained economic growth is not, like I said, technology or infrastructure or tax rebates or commodities or all the stuff that we discuss on the worldwide economics and finance work. Is people. People, young people, they want to strive to be better, that they get together, they get married, they have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. They want to work hard in order to increase their standards of living, buy a home, pay for good education for their children, increase their standard of living and travel and go to fancy dining every once in a while, and the birthday presents for their kids and Christmas and so on and so on and so on, and pay college for their kids, and after that, retire on a beautiful home. When you have terrible demographics, this natural process, this is not with legislation or economics and so, this is a natural process. And if you, as a nation, you are not able to set these standards, you are not going to have long-term sustainable growth. So what will end up happening is the average population is going to get older and older and older and older. That is going to destroy the incentives and opportunities for the younger population. So they're going to start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, or just flat out migrate from your country. There is no way around it. You can do everything, build beautiful infrastructure and robots and beaches and whatever people think they will require or they desire. However, if you don't take care business regarding demographics, it's not going to matter. You need people, and that's it. With people, if you don't have people, you don't have anything. Now, the last, solution is AI and robotics and artificial intelligence and so on. You still need people. Historically, when we have technology revolution and so on, that we have on the Industrial Revolution, that eliminates a lot of jobs. However, it creates and multiplies the new jobs and the future that we can have. You can AI, you can do ChatGPT, Midjourney, robots, and Terminator stuff, or whatever might be the case. You can do it all. If you don't find a way to have, retain, and increase people, especially the young people on your population, on your demographics pyramid, it's not going to matter. At the end, business, economics, and growth is about people. You need people. Elon Musk himself says that the best way in order to help the world is having more children. You need more people. And that sounds at first counterproductive, and yet is the most important thing that you need on an economic and as a society overall. You need people, and actually the best people possible.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.